So while we're waiting, hey Linda, did you just type it in the Zoom chat bar? Awesome. All right, here we go, guys. So here's why I'm asking. I'd like to know how long you guys have been real estate investors. So then knowing we have a more intimate group, I can modify this for everyone. So I'll just ask you to unmute. Linda, how long have you been a real estate investor for?
I just work there. I'm not an investor.
Awesome. Okay, so you're an overworked, underappreciated team support. Got it. I got
There you go.
Cool. Morty or Kimberly or Jaya or Winfield or Diane's phone. If you guys can confirm how long you guys have been real estate investors, that's helpful for me. I know Terry's been for a while. And as we're going over this, thanks. As we're going over this, we are going to keep going. I can hear some people.
Linda may need to mute hers again. She's in a noisy place.
No problem.
Yep.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So if I can get the option to share my screen, that would be awesome, please.
Okay.
Tiffany's back. What's up, Tiffany? I think you should just stay here because I think you like me. So I know you live in Michigan and Terry is in Nevada. So
There.
host disabled participant. Okay, Jaya. I was 10 years ago. I'm just getting back into investments. I'm also a realtor. Awesome, Jaya. Jaya, how long have you been a realtor for? You can type in the Zoom chat bar.
Actually, it's Gia.
Thanks, Gia. Thanks for correcting me. I appreciate
No
it.
problem. I was licensed in 2001 and I just started back up again in 2020.
Cool. What made you decide to get out and come back in?
For investing or real estate?
Both.
Well, I've always wanted to get back in, but the time was never really right for me. I also work in higher ed, so that's been a pretty secure job, whereas investment obviously is a little bit more risky.
Okay, cool. I'm still waiting for the host to allow me to share. So no problem. Thanks for sharing. Morty, if Morty or Kimberly or A Ruffin can all turn on their cameras unless you're driving, I'm totally okay with that. So I'll just start sharing while we wait for me to be able to share my presentation, if that's okay. Okay, I got it now. Awesome.
Okay, yep, I just enabled it. I just found it for you.
Cool, thank you.
You're
Okay, you guys
welcome.
can all see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we do.
All right, cool. All right, so 5 ways to control real estate investing going into 2022. Linda, come back.
Yes,
Linda,
yes.
oh, your daughter
Unmute.
Tiffany.
Unmute.
Tiffany.
If you guys, if you guys can record this and I can use this for a future presentation, you guys have the capability to do that based on this
It's-
being more intimate?
Yeah, it's recording.
Awesome. Can you get that to me tomorrow then?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. So a little bit about my background. I've been a real estate investor since 2004. I started when I was 5. I started in 2004. I'm 43 years old right now. I started as a mortgage professional in 2001, doing loans all throughout the United States. And then during the downturn of the market from 2007 in Utah down to 2000, we hit our peak in Utah in 2007. And then as the market started going down, 2008, 9, 10, 11, I know in your guys' market, you guys got hammered a lot more than we did. So I started buying properties in lots of different strategies. So right now I own 87 rental properties here in Utah. They're about worth between 20 and $23 million. I'm analyzing my portfolio right now. And when I'm saying I'm analyzing my portfolio right now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm sharing that to hopefully inspire. I really like people to participate. So either participating by typing in the Zoom chat bar or showing your eyeballs, because I like to be able to make an impact. If you guys can type in the Zoom chat bar, how many rentals do you currently own? If you guys can type in the Zoom chat bar, And if you don't know how, this is a good thing to learn how to do. How many rentals do you currently own today? And if you don't own any, you can just put 0, because then I can know who the audience is and how to adapt. So we got 0, thank you. And I'm gonna assume that some people have others in here. So here's what we cool with 5 different options. So this is a photo of my family. Cool, Morty, thanks for sharing that you have 10. This is a photo of my family. You can tell we are a bicultural family. I'm half Hispanic. My mom's a little, I call her a mamacita. She passed away last year on my birthday on August 2nd of 2020. And it's totally changed my investment strategy. It's been more focused and family driven versus monetarily driven. So I like sharing these presentations nationally to hopefully inspire or help other people out. This is my lovely wife over here, my 2 sons, my stepdaughter, my mom, sisters, and family. With this, real estate investing has allowed me to do a lot of things. If you guys want to type this in the Zoom chat bar, we're going to learn how to do that. Here's action item. Here's action item number 1. I'd like everyone to learn how to use the Zoom chat bar by the end of this seminar, okay? So I'd like all of you guys to learn how to use the Zoom chat bar because it makes it more engaging for me. So I love sports. I love travel. I love to learn. I just came back from a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Thin event in West Palm Beach last week. Has anyone ever gone to a Tony Robbins event before? If you can type in the Zoom chat bar, yes or no, I'm just curious. So has anyone gone to, good, Mr. and Mrs. Winfield or Winfield, thank you for participating. Ed's no. Cool, so Tony Robbins, and I think this is really important, talks about 80%. Awesome. No, but read his books. Cool. Tony Robbins says that success is 80% psychology and 20% strategy, if you guys want to write that down. And I'm a president of a local RIA here in Utah, and ironically, I'm speaking tonight after this event. And it's totally true. It's 80% psychology and 20% strategy. So I'm going to share 5 different strategies to help you guys with investing. And I want to share 3 quick books that have really been impactful for me to help you like get your mindset moving. So as a real estate investor and a mortgage professional, my team actually, we have what's called book club. And we normally will read 3, I read more than this, but they'll read 3 books a quarter, basically 1 a month. And here's the books we're reading right now. One is 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. If you guys have read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you don't mind writing that in. The second book is a book called Limitless by Jim Quick. So I'm curious to see what your guys' background is. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The second book is Limitless. And the third book is It Takes What It Takes. And a lot of these are psychology books because as I'm talking to real estate professionals in Michigan or in Utah, there makes a big difference of how you're going to become more successful. So here are the 5 examples that I'm going to share how to creatively buy real estate going into 2022. So first of all, has anyone ever bought a property subject to financing? So if you can type in the Zoom chat bar, please, if you have or have not bought a property with subject to financing, because this gives me an idea of how much in depth I can go over this. We got no, Ed, I totally appreciate that you're participating. Cool, thank you, Ed. Morty, thank you for participating. No, okay, cool. Next question. Have any of you guys, Terry, if I remember correctly, Michigan is a mortgage state, not a deed of trust state. Is that correct?
That is true.
Okay, so we're going to call the next one a all-inclusive deed of trust or a wrap. So have you guys bought a property? So you guys probably don't call it all-inclusive deed of trust, we do, or a wrap mortgage. If you've ever bought a property, seller financing. What's up, Maria iPhone? Thanks for jumping on. I love your yellow walls. Has anyone ever bought a property with an all-inclusive deed of trust or a wrap before? If you can type in the Zoom chat bar if you have or have not.
I think land contract would be the more appropriate.
Yeah,
term.
so so we actually talked about land contract versus a contract for deed in Utah. So we don't do land contracts in Utah, but I'll share the difference of an all-inclusive deed of trust or a wrap with investing, in my opinion.
Okay.
The next one is a trust deed and or mortgage or a note. In your state, how many of you guys have just bought a property from a seller that they owned the property free and clear, and they gave you a mortgage and a note? So if you can say, yes, I bought a property with a mortgage or a note. It looks like Bernard has done a land contract. Good. Looks like Terry has. Ruffin has. Thanks, Ruffin. And I'd love you guys see your eyeballs. Cool. Yes, a mortgage and a note. Great. The next one is utilizing a lease option to creatively buy properties. Have any of you guys exercised a lease option before and actually bought the property from a lease option? I would like to know, has anyone, good, Bernard has. Awesome. Bernard, you seem experienced. Has anyone used a lease option before? And then the last one, has anyone ever bought with hard money and then refinanced after and kept it as a rental? So we're not going to focus, and you could do it as a flip also, but has any of you guys bought with hard money and then done a refinance rental after? So I want to see what you guys have come up with. Looks like Terry's well experienced. All right, so for the next 43 minutes of my life, I'm going to share strategies how I've bought a bunch of my properties myself and that you guys can do too. So number one, this is a property that I own in Kearns, Utah. So goal number two. So goal number one is everyone knows how to use the Zoom chat bar, and it looks like we're making some good progress. Great, outstanding job. Looks like Morty, Kimberly, Winfield, Ruffin, Bernard, Johnetta, Ricks. Love to see your guys's cameras. It's helpful for me. Thanks for everyone else jumping on here. So here's how we buy this one. Number one, a subject to. Normally what we're buying with seller financing is we're getting the following 5 documents if you guys want to write this down. Document number one, we're getting a copy of the mortgage. Johnetta, no problem, you're eating dinner. I'm teaching a class. So no problem. We're getting a copy of the mortgage statement. The reason we want to get a copy of the mortgage statement is we want to see if they're current or currently behind on their current mortgage, right? So we want to get a copy of the mortgage statement. Number two, we want to get a copy of their mortgage note. Now, we're seeing right now with a lot of forbearance loans, I was trying to think of the right name, but saying loan modifications. With a lot of the loans or homeowners that are in forbearance, Terry, here's a question for you in Michigan. What do you think is the percentage of homeowners that have filed for forbearances in your state? What do you think that is?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. All right. Is anyone in here a mortgage professional in your state by chance? No mortgage professionals. Okay, so I'm going to say her name wrong, either Gia or Gaia. I know I said it wrong, but you got your glasses. Sorry, I said it wrong. How do you say
Gia.
it again? Gia.
It's
All
Gia.
right. Gia. All right, Gia. Gia, you're a realtor. Who's your favorite mortgage professional in your state?
I don't have a favorite right now. We do have a regular person. She's independent, I think.
She's a
but
broker.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, so here's a good question I'd like you to ask her. Ask her, in your opinion, what is the percentage of your clients that are in a forbearance? That means they haven't made their mortgage payment, right? So they're doing like a loan modification. So the reason we want to get a copy of their mortgage note is that we'll see if they've added payments on the back end of the loan. So number one, we want to get a mortgage statement. Number two, we want to get a mortgage note. Number three, we want to get a copy of their most recent closing disclosure or settlement statement. We want that to confirm that the mortgage note and the mortgage matches the last time they bought or refinanced the property. Number four, you want to get a copy of the homeowner's insurance declarations page. A copy of the homeowner's insurance declarations page. So those are the 5 documents. Now, when I go to a title company in your state of Michigan, you guys have title escrow, or do you guys close with lawyers, Terry?
Most of them close at mortgage companies.
You don't have a title company that
Or
closes?
title companies.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
sorry,
No
title
problem.
company.
No problem. All right. So when I'm going to go close with a title company, I want to take all those loan documents so that they understand that I'm buying the property subject to the existing mortgage. Now, in most states, they have what's called the due on sale clause. With the due on sales clause, there's a document called the Garn St. Germain Act. If you guys want to write that down, The Garn-St. Germain Act in the 80s, it's actually written after Senator Garn from Utah, so I have to throw my Utah plug in there. The Garn-St. Germain Act allowed you to change vesting from your personal name to a trust without it being a taxable event or without it necessarily being a due on sale clause. So we hold a lot of properties in trusts here in Utah, and then obviously LLCs. So when I'm buying a property with creative financing with an all-inclusive deed of trust, with a subject to, I know that possibly my loan may call due. Now, I used to own 100 rental properties. I'm down to 87. I've sold a lot the last 3 or 4 years. I've had 2 due on sale clauses, and I've had to either sell the properties or I had to get both of the times I had to get hard money loans and then I refinanced after. Okay. So when I have a due on sell clause, you got to pay that mortgage off. So here's a cool thing. I like to show how properties are found because here's the 3 most common ways that we're finding properties right now. Number 1 is burned out landlords. If you guys want to write this down, what's up, A Ruff? And I love that you're driving and thanks for showing your camera. I see a little smile. So we have number 1, burned out landlords. We're seeing a lot of burned out landlords selling properties. Number 2 is inherited properties, right? Inherited properties is a great way to property. And then number 3 is from wholesalers. Terry, question for you. In your opinion, in your market, have there been more deals available in this year or more deals available in 2020, in your opinion? I think we lost Terry on, he muted himself. All right, in my market, we see that there's more real estate deals in Utah going on right now. So we bought this property from a wholesaler. We bought it with a subject to financing, and we
Got
closed
it unmuted. Got it unmuted.
Okay, are there
I
more?
agree with that. I think that there's more deals this year than there have been than there was last year.
Why do you think so, in your opinion?
I wonder that myself, but I think people were kind of holding up last year and they weren't doing they weren't doing anything. I think a lot of people are becoming more motivated this year because they are having trouble collecting their rent, which comes to your burned out landlords. And
Yep.
then the people that inherited them, the time has passed and they've decided that they're going to do something.
Okay, good. I think those are all different reasons. So we bought this property from a wholesaler, and we ended up, here's a good example. It's a base hit rental. We didn't pimp it out, and we kept it as a rental property. So I'm going to repeat one more time. What are the 5 documents you want when you're buying subject to? Did you guys write them down? I would love collectively, looks like we have 14 people on the call. Let's see collectively if you guys can write down what are the 5 documents you want to close with the title company before you go to closing. You want to collect from the seller. I'm going to give you the hardest one, or I'm going to type this for number 1. You want to copy the mortgage note. Good. Thanks, Ed. Mortgage statement. Okay. Mortgage note. Number 2, you want the most recent closing statement or settlement statement. Good. Closing disclosure. Good. I like Ed. Okay, good. So we got 3 collectively. We want homeowners insurance. Good. The reason we want the homeowners insurance is, heaven forbid you have to make a claim. You want to be protected, right? So you want to get a copy of the homeowners insurance. So mortgage note, closing disclosure, mortgage statement, homeowners insurance. And last one, you want a POA, power of attorney. So what you want is a power of attorney. You want it specific to that borrower and that property only, right? So if I sold the property for Terry Hansen, I don't want him to have a power of attorney to do any real estate deals. I want him to only be specific to that real estate deal, that if the loan is bought and sold on the secondary market, or I need to make payments, that I can contact people on that behalf. So those are the documents that we need. Cool. I'm going to go to property number 2. So this is called an all-inclusive deed of trust. or a wrap in your state. Now, I know you called it a land contract. So in Utah, and my friends, they use land contracts differently. Every state's different. I know some investors in your market are buying properties in other parts of the country. So here's the difference of an all-inclusive deed of trust or a wraparound mortgage. An all-inclusive deed of trust or wraparound mortgage, they're actually, you could have a lower interest rate. So let's say Terry is selling me a property at 5% interest, okay? So Terry's selling the property for 5% interest. And let's say Terry financed it at 3.25% interest. So he has 3.25. He can collect a spread between what I'm paying him monthly and what he's paying the bank. Has anyone ever bought a property like that before? So I'm going to share this one more time. Terry sells me the property at a 5% interest rate, so I'll be a little more specific. He's going to sell the property to me for $180,000 at 5%. His underlying mortgage is $120,000 at 3.25%. I did 18,000. Sorry, I misspoke. He's going to collect the difference between what he pays the bank and what I pay him on a monthly basis. Has anyone ever bought a property or sold a property like this before? If you can type in the Zoom chat bar, yes or no, that gives me an idea so I can help you guys out a little more with this. Cool, we got one no. Nope, okay, cool. So here's what's good. I bought this property a few years ago from direct mail, okay? So we were focusing on absentee owners that lived out of state. So if you guys want to write that down, absentee owners that lived out of state. We wanted to buy properties from people who didn't live in the state, were not emotionally tied to the property. This is what the property looked like. They had an underlying mortgage. They were okay to not pay the mortgage off. They wanted a decent down payment, and I'll tell you decent. So ideally, I'm going to call it 555. And for some reason, Maria's phone, that was kind of cool. You were writing on my screen. I have no idea how you did that, Maria. That's awesome. Maria, if you want to write on my screen some more, just say, Matt, you're amazing. I would love that. I don't know how you did that, but that was pretty cool. So yeah, I have no idea how she did that. So I think Maria's got a crush on me now. So with that being said, as we buy the property, the difference of what was owed on the mortgage and what I paid him in interest is called arbitrage. He's going to get taxed on that as interest income, okay? Or he could get taxed as ordinary. It's a different way to buy properties. The nice thing, I'm going to call it the 555. I learned this from Bill Bronchek. Terry, do you know who Bill Bronchek is? I think he's still on mute. All right, Bill Bronchek is a real estate investor that lives in Colorado. He happens to be,
I do not know him. It takes me a while to find the unmute.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So Bill Bronchek is a friend of mine, and he's a friend of mine, and he taught me the 555, and here's what it is. Number one, you offer 5% down at a minimum, okay? So you want to have 5% down. Number two, you want a 5% interest rate. So that's what you want to pay. And number three, you want the balloon to be at a minimum of 5 years. So normally I'm not buying properties with seller financing if I have to pay that property off in 2 years or less, or 3 or 4. So I want 5% down, 5% interest rate for a 5-year balloon at a minimum. Now, ideally, I'm going to have a 30-year amortization, and I'll share a different example next. Ideally, I would write like a 30-year amortization, but what this does is gives the flexibility to the seller that they could dictate what the interest rate is. So what's up, Bobby? What's up, Winfield, Kimberly, Morty? Love to see you guys turn your cameras on. We're halfway through the event. Love that Maria's on. So we're going to keep sharing right now, okay? So here's the cool thing. So I've shared two different strategies right now. One, you can buy the property with an all-inclusive deed, or you can buy a property with a subject to. Number two, an all-inclusive or a wrap. Now, here's the same documents you need from before. I want to reiterate this. Number one, you're going to want to get a copy of the mortgage note. The mortgage note shows the terms of the loan. Sometimes people have what's called an adjustable rate mortgage, so their payment could go up or down. You as a buyer, you want to understand if that loan's going to adjust or not, or you also want to know if they have a balloon payment. Number two, you want to get a copy of the mortgage statement, right? Number three, you want to get a copy of the settlement statement or the closing disclosure from the last time they've purchased or refinanced their house. Number four, you're going to want to get a copy of the homeowner's insurance declarations page again. And number five, you're going to want to get a power of attorney. So if you guys can kind of notice, here's the difference. If Terry sells the property to me for $180,000 and his mortgage is $120,000, you're normally going to want to use a third-party company. You're normally going to want to use a third-party company to make that payment. Now, Maria, iPhone, did you seriously put that yellow marker on there? I think, huh? Is that you? That was her.
No.
Oh, that wasn't you. Oh, okay.
I tried to make a note myself here, but maybe I did something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, you made a note on my PowerPoint. It's awesome because now it's on there permanently. So you got a lot of attention. Thank you. So
Sorry.
yeah, we're good. Okay. So cool. So there's strategy number two. So we've talked about number one, how to buy a property with a subject to financing. Number three, now when you go to the title company, you're normally going to want to use a third-party escrow company. Terry, do you have a third-party escrow company that you like to use in Michigan that you can suggest for your members?
I don't.
Okay. So I would use a third-party escrow company that is in the market of receiving and making payments. Here in Utah, we use a company called Escrow Specialist. I will type it in the Zoom chat bar for everyone. They do service properties all throughout the United States. They just happen to be the ones in Utah that we use, and they've been around the longest. Looks like Morty's now jumping on the PowerPoint, not sure how. So I'm going to send this to you guys in the Zoom chat bar. Boom, you guys got it now. So that's who we use when we have the difference of an underlying mortgage, if the mortgage balance is lower than what they're selling the property to me for, okay? Next, so what do we do with this property? We kept it as a rental. If you guys can notice, we're not over improving the properties. A lot of times when real estate investors buy rentals, they're over improving the properties. I think it's really important not to over improve properties, okay? So this is what the property looked like with the yellow lines. Thank you, Maria, for making notes, okay? So the cool thing is, now when you sell the property, you're gonna have two payoffs if you guys wanna write this down. The reason why you wanna get a copy of the mortgage note is you're gonna need to get a payoff with the underlying mortgage, and then you're gonna need to get a payoff from the higher mortgage. So unless you guys are amazing record keepers or art directors like Maria is, you're normally going to want to use a third-party company to when you pay those off. So during the downturn in the market, I actually bought a property for $90,000 and I sold it 7 years later for $250,000. The underlying mortgage was only $50,000 that I had to pay off. So there was a difference of what was owed versus what they had it for, okay? So that's important with that. Now, deal number three, okay? So third scenario, this is called a mortgage and a note, okay? So a mortgage and a note. When you buy a property from a seller with the mortgage and a note, that means they own the property free and clear. And we're gonna ask Maria because she laughs at my jokes. Maria, what do you do for a living?
I actually am disability specialist and I do real estate as investor part-time.
All right, you're a disability investor specialist, you're a realtor, and where are you from? I love your accent.
Russia originally.
Russia with love. I think that's a James Bond movie they wrote after you. I love it. All right, so let's say that Maria inherited a house from her parents in Moscow, okay? So she inherited a house in Moscow and that property's worth $500,000. And let's say Maria does not want to pay taxes in Moscow. And so she sells the property for $500,000. She may want 50,000, we should call them rubles. Do they still use rubles in Russia? I don't even know.
It's been such a long time. I don't even know what they're using now. It's been 30 years.
I'm actually going to check it out while we're talking right now. Russian currency. All right, I'm looking it up. Yeah, it's a ruble still. Yep. 0.014. I just looked it up while we're talking. Internet's amazing. All right, so let's say Maria is took over her family's estate. They passed away, and she wants to sell a property for $500,000. And let's say her family was smart and they did estate planning, and Maria is the beneficiary of that property. Okay, so it's held in a trust hypothetically, and Maria is the beneficiary of that said trust. And let's say she's like, I don't want to pay taxes on this example. She's like, I want to keep the money in Mother Russia. All right. So she's going to require me to put $50,000 down, and then I'm going to finance $450,000. So what I want, does anyone know how to use financial calculators? Type in the Zoom chat bar if you guys know how to use financial calculators. Financial calculators. Look, I put up an emoji. I'm wanting everyone to learn how to use emojis. All right, we got no one with a financial calculator. All right. So if we buy this property, Terry, tell your grandkids hello. If we buy a property for $450,000, I'm doing the math with you at a 5% interest rate over 30 years. Does anyone know what that payment is? So I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. You're going to finance $450,000 over 5% over 30 years. Does anyone know what that payment is? Nope. All right, cool. So the payment is $2,415. So here's action item number 2. I would suggest all 14 of you guys on the phone. We got Donnie's, Morty, Kimberly, Winfield, Janetta, Bobby, Sandra, Ricky, Bobby 2, Bernard, Terrence. I threw in the Boys to Men comment, or ABC, okay? For you guys to get more, to increase your being savvier real estate investors, utilizing financial calculators is really important, especially when you're buying properties directly from sellers. So I have a mortgage team in the background. They know how to use financial calculators. They go over this with working with clients. You guys don't need to be mortgage professionals, but this is good ways for you guys to negotiate payments. So here's a question. For all of you guys in here, what's your biggest concern about retirement? You can type in the Zoom chat bar, what is your biggest concern about retirement? You guys can type in the Zoom chat bar real quick. I'm curious to see. What is your biggest concern with retirement? All right, healthcare costs. Not enough money. Good. Those are two different things. So not enough money in healthcare costs are decent. So let's reverse engineer it. So a lot of times people are concerned with taxes, right? So let's do a quick calculation with this. So I just taught a class yesterday with a bunch of realtors, and they had really concerned about how much money they had. So here's an exercise we did. If you guys want to write this down, you took last year's adjusted gross income. Take last year's adjusted gross income. So we're going to write this. I know you guys are all looking at me for those. You times it by 25. You times it by 25. And that's what you're going to need in assets at a minimum. You take last year's adjusted gross income, times it by 25, and that's what you will need in income. Now, the next part is you'll want to then determine your rate of return. So what's your ROI you want to earn on the assets? So if you guys don't mind just typing in a number, then we'll use as an exercise real quick. And this is how you buy properties from sellers that own their properties free and clear because they have similar concerns with you. So if you guys are okay, type in a number that you guys just came up with. Of everyone's got the same concern. We got Terrence, Bernard, Sandra, Bobby, Janetta, Winfield, all turning on, Morty, Kimberly, Donnie, iPhone. All right, we got the same people. I love that we have. All right, so the point I'm sharing this with you, if you're not sure, I'm going to share this one more time. You take last year's income, times it by 25, you're going to need that much in assets. Then you take your ROI, return on investment, and you got your return on investment. That's how much you're going to have in passive income per year. So if you guys want to type in the Zoom chat bar, how much that income would be, that would be awesome. How much income is that going to be in income? Let's see, not Amanda. We have Tiffany or Linda. Tiffany or Linda jump in there. $6,000 a month. All right, cool. There's a good example. So the point of this exercise is real estate investors that own properties free and clear also they are concerned about healthcare costs, not having enough money. So you have to reverse engineer in the past or in the future, right? You got to have more assets with this. I'm going to go to the next part. So here's what we did. So deal number 5 is you buy properties with a lease option, okay? So this property that I purchased, we did a lease option. Here's my comment. When you buy real estate with a lease option, if you can type in the Zoom chat bar, if you've ever bought a property with a lease option. So if you can type in the Zoom chat bar, yes, I've bought a property with a lease option, or no, I've not bought a property with a lease option. If you can type that in the Zoom chat bar, yes or no. Let's see real quick. Ed, I love that you're participating. Thank you. Sandra, no. Ed, no. Maria, no. Maria, she jacked up my screen. No, but familiar. Good, I love that she laughs at my jokes. Okay, cool. So here's what I like with lease options. When I buy with the lease option, I want the lease and the option to buy to be one instrument. And when I call it one instrument, I want those documents to be together. So because I want to be able to exercise that lease option, and ideally, I want an established price now when the market's going up, especially now. I don't want to pay market of whatever that is. Now, when you're selling with the lease option, you want the lease and the option to buy to be separate documents. For example, let's say they default on making their payments on time. You want that if they can't make their payments on time, they cancel the lease option. Okay, so you want those separate. So if you guys want to write this down in the Zoom chat bar, when you buy, you want it to be one document. When you sell, you want them to be 2 separate documents. So the nice thing with the lease option is you're establishing a price with a little bit of money and you're able to control the property. So a good example, when you are buying a lease option, people say, how much money do you want to get down? As much as possible. In our market in Utah, we're seeing between $5,000 to $10,000. Get it, Ed? I love that you're jumping in and putting in comments. That's awesome. So when you're buying properties, when you want to put as much money down, you want to collect that from the potential tenant. When you're selling properties, you want to put down as much money. When you're trying to exercise a lease option, you want to put the least amount of money down. Now, when you're buying a property, I would encourage you guys to record the lease option on title. So then it doesn't, so they don't sell it out underneath you, especially on rentals. Terry, are short-term rentals really popular, kind of popular, or not that popular right now in your market? You're on mute. I couldn't hear anything you just said. Go ahead, Terry, on the lease option part. Are short-term rentals popular or not popular? You're still on mute. So I'm gonna keep going until he gets off mute.
Okay, there we go. I found it.
Awesome.
They are popular. I wouldn't say in Flint, Michigan that they were very popular, but there are some doing them. And like on lakes and in certain areas, but generally, our area is not popular for short-term rentals. They do have a state law that they're in the process of passing so that local governments can't regulate you out of the business if you would like to do short-term rentals.
Got it. Got it. Cool. That's good. So here's the cool thing with short-term rentals is we're seeing people right now, they're doing long-term rental lease options and they're re-leasing them out on short-term rentals. That's a strategy I'm not personally doing right now, but that's a strategy other people can do. So as we get ready for the last strategy, here's what I did. I exercised this lease option on this rental and I kept it as a rental and I still own it today. When I exercised the lease option, I was able to convert it to a seller financing property. And we actually did it with subject to. So there's 5 documents. I've already shared it with you, the 5 documents with the subject to. That's the cool thing about creative financing, right? Is I'm sharing lots of different ways that you guys can control and buy real estate. Okay, the last one I'm going to share with you guys, hard money. I would say this is my bread and butter of how I buy properties here in Utah. Okay. So this one's sick. This one's like got 3 deals in one. So I bought this property from a client as a lease option at first. Okay, here's what we did. We bought it as a lease option. They needed to show the option money to come into their bank account so that they could qualify for a down payment for a new construction house. Okay. So we did a lease option. They got the money. You could use sourced and seasoned funds. They needed that money for a new construction house. It took the builder 6 months to build the house. They continued to make payments directly to the mortgage company. I controlled the property. 3 weeks before closing, they needed the mortgage out of their name. Does that make sense? So 3 weeks before closing, they needed the mortgage out of their name. I closed on a hard money loan, private loan for 3 weeks. I paid the loan off. By paying the loan off, they were then able to qualify without that payment, buying the new house, and they bought the new house, which is pretty sick, right? So you guys will notice I used 2 strategies in that example. I did a lease option first so that they could qualify to build a new home. They lived in their house for 6 months. And then once the property was built, then I paid that loan off with a hard money loan. And then I ended up actually fixing up the house and selling it versus keeping it as a rental. And the coolest part of that, besides I got that, is I helped them with their mortgage. So there's a lot of different ways as real estate professionals that we can help other people out. So that is the last option that I shared with you. So here's an example of what the property looks like after I fixed it up. It obviously did not have Maria's yellow lines in there, so I'm not sure how she was able to do that, which is pretty amazing. But this is a good example of a property about 6 years ago, has what's called Kodiak cabinets. It's got more gray tones. Now we use white cabinets and lighter colors. It gives different ideas of what we did at the house. So this is a property that we did 5 years ago. So let's talk about this real quick. When we bought this property, we did the following. We used the lease option. Remember, one instrument for me as a buyer. I use the option, a lease with an option to buy, right? To show that I'm controlling the property. Then when we paid the loan off, here's what you need. You need a mortgage note. You need the note to explain the terms of the loan. You need to record a mortgage on title, and then you close on the property. This is a great way for you to get rentals. This is also an outstanding way for you to buy flips with less money out of your pocket. Just curious, Terry, what are normal hard money fees going for in your market these days?
You know, I was going to ask you that question. I have heard of some 10 percenters. The one person that I know has always in the past tried to get 15%, but I think he may be coming down just a little bit.
How many
but
points do they normally charge?
Well, they weren't charging points. They were getting it all in interest rate.
Okay, so in our market, we're normally getting 2 and 12, so 2 points, 12% interest, or 3 points, 10% interest, depends on the investor, depends on the deal. It also depends on how inexperienced or experienced the real estate investor is. So when I'm borrowing money from private people, I'm normally paying between 8 and 10% with no points. When I'm lending out private money, I'm normally charging 2 or 3 points and 12% interest. I do a lot of interest on the back end, so they don't have to make payments. And then I also don't charge points normally up front. I want to make it as beneficial for clients as possible. So those are different ways to help real estate investors out. So here's what I just did for everyone on this call. We have 8 minutes left to wrap this up. We have Terrence, Bernard, Sandra, Bobby, Janetta, Winfield, Kimberly, Morty, Ruffin, Diane, Maria, Gia. I keep saying your name wrong. I'm sorry. I have no idea why. There's a lady that I met named Jaya, so it's just really pronounced. And then we got Ed Constable's assistant that I know that's not Ed. I think it's Linda, if I remember correctly. So here's what I'd like you guys to do. I just shared a link that I teach a free class every single month. I teach it on normally the first Tuesday of the month, but I'm going to be attending a Tony Robbins event the first Tuesday of the month in December. So I'm going to not be at, it's November 30th. So I just sent you guys a Zoom link, and I'm going to be focusing on how to negotiate the deal with the seller. So I'm going to be focusing on how to buy properties directly from sellers in today's market. So Terry, what other questions or ideas can I share with you guys to wrap up the night?
Okay, I had a couple questions. One is on the private lender. From a cost standpoint, other than the points and the interest rate, what other charges does the borrower normally incur?
Title fees. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
good
now,
question.
if a person would want to do a standard mortgage through your mortgage company, what would be the requirements to get a mortgage? Credit wise,
Yeah,
credit
great question.
score, and how much money do they need to have? And also, how much would the cost be?
Sure. Okay, so I can see everyone's view right now. So I'm not licensed in Michigan. I currently am only licensed in Utah. Our mortgage company is licensed in about 40 states. I don't know all the states, but normally here's a good rule of thumb if you guys want to write this down. Number one, to qualify, you got to have income, right? So let's say you're buying an owner-occupied property. If you're buying an owner-occupied property, and if anyone served in the military, did anyone serve in the military or is a veteran by chance? If you are, thank you for your service. So if you're getting a VA loan, you can do 100% financing and put no money down, which is amazing. But you got to have income, right, to make the mortgage payment. So I'd say income's probably number one.
Okay, but with that VA loan, can you buy it as a non-owner occupied?
No, but I want to share this real quick as an owner occupied, then I'll go to non-owner occupied. Okay.
Okay.
So number one is a VA loan. You can go 100% financing. Obviously, the better credit, you're going to get better interest rate, and you can put no money down. On non-owner occupied properties, you need to have at least ideally 680 FICO score. You need to have a 680 FICO score, and you need to have ideally 680 FICO score, and you need to put 20% down conventionally, and you need to have a debt to income ratio at 45% or less. 680 FICO score, 640. Sorry, I'm just thinking 45% debt to income ratio, 680 FICO score, and you need to put 20% down or less, or at least. So do you guys have a super competent mortgage professional in your guys' market or in your area?
Yeah, I don't know of one right offhand. There are several that are available. One other question on the financing, on the FHA, where you can buy a house and then you can get an appraisal based on what it'll be worth after you fix it up. There's a name for this program. I can't think of it. They used to use this for investors that wanted to flip houses.
Okay, say that again.
Okay, you could buy a house, run it FHA, but you would get an appraisal based on what you had planned on doing with the house.
So it's an FHA 203K loan.
Okay, that's the one. Are you
Yeah.
doing any of those?
No,
And how
hell
do those
no.
work? And you
They're-
don't?
They're a pain in the butt. You have to have everything permitted. Here's the challenge with that. So could we do them? Yes. Do I do them? No. I've only closed one in 20 years. The challenge is most contractors that are licensed and insured don't want to go through the red tape to fill out all the paperwork. And most of the borrowers don't know what they want to get done for the property. So they, what happens with that is either the builder doesn't give the bids more accurately enough, or the homeowner doesn't know with what they want to get done correctly. So that's what normally why it doesn't work out. The third reason is sometimes the repairs don't justify the increased value. So yeah, I don't do 203K loans. I've done one before. I've had probably 10 in my career get an appraisal and then they didn't pan out. Great question.
Okay. Does
Awesome.
anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up?
So here's how I can, go ahead. I got one more comment, but I'll remember.
If we have any other questions, this is your time.
Yeah, so here's I appreciate everyone jumping on here. If you guys saw the Zoom link, I'd cut and paste it now because I don't have your guys' information. So that's the free class that I teach once a month. And then with the free class that I teach once a month, I'd encourage you guys can check out my website if you guys want to learn more about different types of investing style. So I'm a president of a RIA here locally, then I do real estate consulting. I just sent you guys the information while we're talking on the phone right now. I just know there's a lot of work that needs to get done. And if you have the right information with the right mentor, but the most importantly is you have to take action and implement. And I think that as we can help real estate professionals throughout the country, you guys can have some financial freedom that you're looking for.
Okay. I want to thank you for participating in this tonight. We always had good feedback. We did the last time you were on. And it's easy when you do it on Zoom. You're in Utah, I'm in Nevada. Everybody else is in Michigan. So it works out very well and everybody can participate.
Awesome.
Okay,
Okay, hope to see you guys in the next month or so on a free class that I teach. If not, hope you guys have an outstanding holiday.
thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Bye-bye.